Hello viewers, welcome to Ascension TV. Today we are looking at something different, something really interesting, something people are running away from, something the society should be aware and be conscious of, that is not a taboo to talk about. Today we are looking at sex and sexuality education. But with me in the studio to talk about this topic are...
Osan Aneni.
My name is Lucy Mobi.
I know a woman, a very powerful woman, a restaurant by name, who always tell you that if you want to get to the bottom of all this, if your daughter is having a friend, male or female, always tell them to invite them to the house. Then put them on advise them as parents and all that. If it's a boy, the boy will be around like, this woman is talking to me like a mother, I don't need to disappoint her. You know? Anyway, please, I'm talking too much.
No, you're not talking too much. What I wanted to say is that girls and guys get abused. It's unfortunate that there's this thing of, the females are the weaker gender, we need to be protected. Forget it. There are a lot of young men, old men who have been abused. It's harder for the men because there's this code of silence. People should not know that you've been through this. There's this idea that guys don't cry. You're suffocating, you know. But the truth is that abuse for children happens to both male and female. And the sooner we stop this idea of focusing on one gender and leaving the other, because right now what we have is a culture of hurt people hurting other people, wounded people wounding other people, and it's a generational or cyclic thing. So if we focus on the girl and leave the boy will grow up and end up being the predator. And we focus on the girl is living in a bubble where she thinks the world is perfect. But you and I know it's not. They are good people and they are very horrible people. So it's important that we try to somehow stem this culture of you can chop and clean mouth. Because that's what society is teaching us today about sexuality and sex education. The sex education our children are getting in school is distorted. It's saying that you can have safe sex. It doesn't make sense because safe and sex is not a disease. I'm sure it's not a disease. So we need, like I said, formation to understand what our sexuality is and what sexual intercourse is, and that it is appropriate for marriage and marriage alone, and that a lot of the abnormalities and the issues we have in family and the society as a whole is as a result of seeing sexual intercourse as just one other activity and not leaving it to have the sacred and very precious place it should have in the cycle of life, That is why we are where we are. So let's look at solutions now, because I think we have flogged the problem. The solution would be, let's get formed. Should the church have a counseling unit? Definitely, because we know that some parents are not capable. Some parents are unwilling to teach their children. Some parents are unable to teach their children. So the church is standing in the gap to make up for where the parents have not. Remember that earlier we said that the child's church and school are chosen by the parents. So if the parents decide this is where we worship, that's where the child will get his or her formation from, to augment what the parents have given at home. If the parents are unwilling or unable, because when I say unable, there are cases where we have single parents. Yes. So that case is not as if the parents don't want to. It's a case of the parents is not there for one reason or the other. There are children who have been raised by their grandparents and other relatives. So it's not as if the parents don't want to, but they are not there. So yes, the church can stand in the gap. But before we have these counseling units, we need to have people that are formed. We need to have a structure in place. We need to have a symmetry of information between those who are going to pass on this information and the technique that is going to be used to pass on this sex education. Like we said, it's not something that is not it shouldn't be a generic thing. It should be individual and specific. That's why it's best done in the home. But where it can't be done in the home, if you're going to do it in church, you can't do it, call all the children together and just begin to preach and prophesy. Hey, hello, then I beg. So it has to be a one-on-one thing, because first of all, you start off with, what does the child know? What does the young man or the young lady know? So you start from the known to the unknown and take it from there. Okay? So the counselor will try to demystify what the child knows, or what the youth knows, or what the young lady or the young man, because young professionals too need this. When I say young professionals, they are graduates, they're about to graduate, they are employed, self-employed, but they don't know what they need to know. Then at what age should we do this? See, if you're old enough to have a boyfriend, you're old enough to get educated about marriage, because sex is for marriage. So we are speaking as Catholics now. If you're old enough to have a boyfriend, you're old enough to attend marriage class. Yes, marriage class is catechism for those about to receive matrimony. But also, it's good for those who are ready to date. If you're ready to enter into that circle of single and ready to mingle, you should be ready to know the consequences of mingling. You get why now? Everything get reason. So there's a need that CYO members should once in a while breeze into marriage class and know what they're talking about. It's even better to have the information before you meet Mr. or Mrs. Right than when you fix the wedding date and now want to come and start the marriage course. You're like, Kilele, do this thing, let's be going. So it's important that we get the information and we get it as soon as possible, and that the information is tailored for the individual, not a generic blanket thing. And that if the church is going to have a counseling is more like a method of damage control. We're looking at a preventive mechanism, and a preventive mechanism is giving them the information before they get out there, arming them. Ephesians 6:11 says, put on the full armor of God so you can stand against the wiles of the devil. So if you're armed before, you know what you're getting into. But when we talk about counseling, it's more like we're looking at how to solve the problem when some damage has been done. So we're looking at preventive methods. So we can include this in catechism for prayer class, Holy Communion class, CYON. They should have 1 or 2 talks that will bring in the topic, so that gradually they have a little idea. Then always the counselor should still direct them back to their parents. Tell them to continue the conversation with their parents. Sometimes it's the child that would say that they want to talk to you about something. Because some parents, like you said, are shying away from it, or they don't know how to start it. But the child, now that children are becoming wiser and sharper, their eye, the thing tear where. So based on that, the children can actually start the conversation that the parents are avoiding. So I think if we put in the effort, and by God's grace, finally we need God's grace, Abi, we'll get there. Last, good day, all right.
All right, so it's been a very interesting topic, and I think from here, like, you can see other topics coming on, like issue of marriage and marriage counseling and all that, courtship. We can still talk about this same topic and all that. These are things we shouldn't run away from. These are things parents should, feel free to talk about. Put your children, see them like your friends, make them your friend for that moment. Catch them as friends. Drop that ego, I'm your father, I'm your mother. No, let us talk about it. It's the real thing. Don't run away from it. On that note, you are able to equip them, just like Auntie has said. A lot of persons will be able to learn that this is an empowerment from the home. So parents, please, I think it's high time we should come out of our shell, like I've always said, so that we can actually educate the children that sex and sexuality is not a sin, that it's not a taboo to talk about it. Let us feel free. I don't know, there's nothing bad in it. Please join us again next week for another interesting topic. Thank you. Bye. Bye.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Join us again next week for another interesting topic.
It worked.
Okay, yes, that's it.
You're supposed to laugh at me.